If you've been involved in a car accident in Newfoundland and Labrador and you're out of work or you might lose work, you need to know what you qualify for. This video covers accident benefits and loss of income payments. Let's get into it. First off, weekly payments are made if you have a loss of employment. Obviously, this contemplates people who are working or have recently worked and are going to lose money because of the car accident. To qualify, you need to be employed at the time of the accident. And we're going to talk about this a little bit more, but the simplest case is somebody's working at the time of the accident and then they can't work anymore. It doesn't mean that they're actively at work at the very precise time the accident happened. They don't need to be on shift or on the clock, but if you have an employer, if you go to work, then you're going to qualify as somebody who's employed. If you meet the employment test, you're going to need to also show that you are effectively hurt enough to qualify for loss of income. You have to show a substantial inability to perform the essential duties of your employment or occupation, and it has to last for at least 7 days. There's two parts of the test to qualify for loss of income payments. First, you have to be employed, and this means you're working at the time of the accident. Doesn't mean you have to be on the clock or working that day or on shift. It means you have to have an employer or be self-employed. You have to be earning income at the time of the accident. There's also an abilities test. You have to show a substantial inability to perform the essential duties of your employment or occupation, and that inability has to last for at least 7 days. So, think about your job. What do? You go to work every day, and what are your actual job duties that are important, that are essential to your job? And I suggest you think of them in 3 categories. What are the physical duties? What are the cognitive duties? And what are the psychological duties? Those are 3 different groupings, and it'll help you assess the demand level of those core tasks. My clients struggle in 1 or more of these categories. Maybe they have physical injuries that impact their ability to lift the box or carry the thing or sit at a desk. Perhaps the cognitive demands they can't do because they can't focus, because they have post-concussive syndrome or other challenges affecting their focus and concentration. Or perhaps they have work that's very tough mentally. It's exhausting or it's highly stimulating, and they just can't cope with the demands, with the pressure, with the psychological toll of the work. If any of that applies to the point where you have a substantial inability to perform the essential job duties, you're going to qualify for a loss of income. So let's talk about what employed and employment really means. Of course, if you're actively engaged at work at the time, you qualify. But what if you aren't on payroll at the time? Well, if you've been engaged in work for 6 of the last 12 months, you're also going to qualify. I've had clients in the past who say, Jeff, I haven't worked 6 of the last 12 months, but I've been doing things to prepare for work, to prepare for a job, to prepare for a new business. Let me tell you, you have to plan before you implement. And if you've been preparing for a business or a new venture or upgrading, if you're doing job-like activities, preparedness activities, to me, those count in terms of months. And yeah, there may be a dispute with the insurer, but it's worth forwarding that issue and advancing why you should qualify for loss of income benefits. Because for me, at the end of the day, if you're working or doing activities of work and you're put out by the accident, then you qualify for the loss of income benefit. And that's why auto insurance involved this benefit in the first place. If you qualify for the benefit, how long does it last? Well, under the first part of the qualification criteria, you have to show a substantial inability to perform the essential duties of your job. This lasts for 2 years. What if your substantial inability exists beyond 2 years? Well, the test becomes a little harder, and you have to show an inability to engage in any occupation or employment. And that doesn't mean any job available or any possible item that they could think of. But it has to be a job that relates to what you've done. It has to consider your past experience and training and education. And so the real question is there a job out there that Sure, it's not your old job, but it's a similar job or something you're fit to do. Is if that job exists, if there's some other similar profession or employment that you could do, you're not going to qualify for the benefit. Now, a lot of my clients who have serious injuries or catastrophic injuries after a car accident in Newfoundland, they may well be off forever. They're not going back to any type of job, no matter how easy or hard it is or how demanding the skills and capacities are. They're not working. They're too hurt. And if that's you, then the test shouldn't really matter, and you should still always qualify for the loss of income payment. So now that we've covered how long it lasts, let's talk about how much you can get. You're going to get the lesser of $140 per week or 80% of your week grossly income. So let's pretend you make $1,000 a week. 80% of $1,000 is $800. $800 is more than $140, and it's the lesser of. So they're going to pay $140 a week. Now, before you lock that number in your mind, you may have paid a little bit more for car insurance, which increased the payment to $250 a week. So if you've paid for the extra coverage, the $140 would get replaced by the $250. It would still be the lesser of calculation, but it puts more money in your pocket every week, and it adds up week over week, month over month. If you happen to go back to work or trial a return to work and it fails, you can get back on the loss of income benefit. This is great protection for workers because, of course, if you can go back to work or try to go back to work and you succeed, great, you're back to earning your wage. But if it doesn't work, you can have comfort in knowing that the benefit will come back to be that backstop for you. Now, accident benefits is a limited remedy. It means it doesn't provide everything that you'll need. It's only $140 or $250 a week, and for almost everyone, that's not going to be 100% of your wage loss. So you may need to bring a legal claim to recover the rest of your losses. And that doesn't just mean financial loss. It means all of your losses. So as a personal injury lawyer who helps car accident victims in Newfoundland and Labrador, I think about all of the losses and damages that they have sustained. What's caused by the accident? Pain and suffering, past income loss, future income loss, diminished earning capacity, loss of housekeeping ability, loss of family life, of quality of life, of extracurriculars, of all of these things that are important to you. What about the money that you'll need for treatment into the future because of your injuries? How about all of the extra expenses and time that you have to deal with the consequences and aftermath of the car accident related injuries? All of this matters. All of this is part of a legal claim, and none of that will get recovered by accident benefits. So most people with serious injuries, with ongoing injuries that are substantial, that are impairing, that will have a real impact on their life in the future, are talking to a lawyer about a legal claim to learn what damages they can recover and what fair compensation looks like. The first step is accident benefits, but you only have so long, typically 2 years, to advance a legal claim for the rest of your damages. If you have questions about accident benefits, questions about how to qualify for loss of income, or what a legal claim looks like and what you could be eligible to claim as part of that process, you should ask. Nova Injury Law helps people after they've been involved in car accidents and all across Newfoundland and Labrador. We're here to help you. We know what we're doing. We've dealt with all of this before. So if you have questions, it's so easy for us to give you those answers. For us, it's about educating the public about what their rights are so that you make sure that you're treated fairly. And if I can help you do that, let me help. Send us your questions. We'll get back to you the very same day. I wish you all the best.